do you have the benchmark that existed of performance parameters and what you have achieved now, what the investment was in order to achieve this, and what therefore is the financial saving and the carbon saving on what you have brought in as intervention? Do you have anything like that to show us?
Yes, so I'll in this case, I'll divide two types of solutions. One are regulatory compliance or source water monitoring, river monitoring, which is not accumulative in cash because it's more of a quality business, and the facilities. So in the facilities, there are four types of cost reduction potentials: energy, chemicals, water loss, or water, and equipment. In each one of them, the numbers can vary between 1% to 10%, depending on the level of management before we entered and the potential for cost saving. I'll give a short example, like if we take a water treatment or a wastewater treatment, we usually contribute to 2 to 5% of cost reduction, and that is in most of the cases from hundreds of thousands of dollars per year to millions of dollars per year in cost saving. And the cost of our system, again, varies from tens of thousands of dollars to a little bit more. A cost of the iShed, source water monitoring project, is usually something between, depending on the complexity, something between $3,000 to $5,000 per monitoring station. And if we take the Ganga project where they have 70, that means hundreds of thousands of dollars per year. But if we take a medium-sized project of 10 or 15 monitoring stations, so that could accumulate to a few tens of thousands of dollars per year plus work. That's source water.
So when you say $5,000 per monitoring station, is that per annum or is that a lifetime cost?
Per year, yeah. We work on a
That's
so
okay. It's not large. Okay. Yeah. Do you want to say very briefly in the next 1 minute on your Ganga water experience so far?
We are about, it's not official yet, so but we are about to launch a pretty exciting project with over 70 monitoring stations that is designated to provide a control center to an entity called NMGC. And the idea is that we monitor about 70 online monitoring stations together with about 100 offline monitoring stations, manual sampling, and we execute the algorithm. We constantly evaluate or constantly compare lab data to the monitoring station in order to ensure that the monitoring stations are providing accurate and reliable data. And the outcome is those events and this control room map that provides them with an entire picture of the entire region that they want to cover, from the very north origins of the Ganga to about midway of the Ganga.
India is looking for a complete transformation into the digital world in about 500 cities, and huge funding under a flagship scheme called Amrut, Atal Bihari Rural Urban Resilience Scheme has been launched. And there's a very huge money outlay for that, almost about $20 billion in the next 3 years' time. I'm part of the task team and we are writing these specifications. Also, I would just like to mention, Ethan, is that I work closely with your Israel attaché, Lior, and his team. So what I'm saying is that these are exciting times in India. It's probably a much bigger market than, because it's a nascent market. It's just evolving into the digital world now. But primarily, you need to have a few different models which you need. See, Namami Ganga is slightly different. It's World Bank funded entirely. It's multilateral funded. It's a rich, corporation, as they call it, Namami Ganga Corporation, as they corporatized that company with a $2 billion funding from the World Bank in the initial days. So it's good that you are making headway into it, because I think the first few orders were taken by these European company called SCAN with their Indian partners. And I think if you are moving in with the newer solutions there that you are talking about, I wish you all the best. But coming to the ULB, urban local bodies, municipal bodies, there are more than 7,000 Indian cities, not only that 500 top cities, but 7,000 is your target base in India. So my humble submission to you, Nitin, is that, I've listened many times to you over the last few years. I just wanted to really tell you that you might have to refine your models. What will work in the US or in Israel will not work here. Because I think you have a very good track record as far as Israel is concerned. I know your reference list. I've seen that you've almost supplied every single SWRO plant in Israel, including the Ashelon and the other big one, the latest, the large ones also. Might be you're tied up with the OEMs there to move your software solutions, isn't it? You're coming with the RO manufacturer itself to supply these smart solutions that you are doing, with an example of which you showed. But in India, see, these type of integrated contracts are not going to come. The municipality will decide on giving the data management and the sensors and the hardware and the software as a separate tender. It is a public procurement system. There is nothing that you can do by joint collaborations. Okay, Mr. Law can lead you there to the client and get you an order from NMCG. It's a different mechanism. But to do this thing, you need to be a little bit different. Business models would have to be evolved. Primarily, I wanted to understand from you, what are your collection protocols? Basically, in India, Mary mentioned, it is more of manual system exists, but we are slowly transforming. At the same time, there are some pockets of excellence here and there, some cities which are doing a better job, but most of them are discrete data in various silos. How do you actually integrate them, and how you will actually do it? What are the protocols that you really follow to do it?
So one of our advantages among others is that we are an end-to-end solution, and we have a wide variety of capabilities. And when we focus on the data foundation, we have multiple interfaces. So we collect data from OPC protocols, which are the automation and control type of collections, historians, databases, files, CSV, XML, others, APIs. So we have a bank of APIs that we can connect with. We have a manual feeding application. So our customers are partly or mainly typing in data using our smartphone application. And of course, there are cases where there's no data, so there's nothing to collect. But in most of the cases, our recommendation is to begin, start at A. So begin collecting whatever you have, and then adding more and more data sources and more interfaces as time goes by. We never enter, except for the desalination plant, you said, are very equipped and they have everything from day one, from the very inceptions. In most of the utilities, we enter or we start the first installation connecting to whatever they have.
Any company outside India has to showcase to be accepted and also be cost competitive. So that is what I have found in my experience, is unless we use an Indian partner with the Indian cost model, along with the foreign cost part into it, and still be competitive and show value added, plus be comparable in cost. Because many times we won projects because we had a unique offering, but still we had to bring the cost down by using Indian manpower, about 80 to 90% Indian manpower, and keep the foreign manpower, which is more expensive most of the time, to less than 10%. Then we were extremely cost competitive, and our technical advantage made the client say, we have to go with this, with our company. So that is what I think Nathan is starting to do. In World Bank projects, the competition is not that intense because only 4 or 5 or 3 or 4 major world players are really pre-qualified. And then the competition is not that stiff. But to go into Amrit cities, you have to be very cognizant of partnering and getting the local cost component as high as possible.
So we work on data democratization at a river basin level. So this is basically integrated water resources management, not only on one river, which is Rishabhavati, an urban river in Bangalore, but we're also looking at all rivers of Kaveri Basin. We have been analyzing government data in terms of the wastewater treatment flows here in Bangalore. And most of our STPs don't get wastewater for treatment. So the utilization of the STPs is pretty much less than 50%. Almost all of them, except for the one at International Airport, Bangalore International Airport. Second is in terms of non-revenue water, Bangalore gets water 100 kilometers away, from Kaveri River. And by the time it reaches Bangalore, half of the water is lost. So there's about 36 to 48% non-revenue water, right? So my questions in terms of, activist on the ground, researcher on the ground, trying to work with the government, which is BWSSB, BBMP, Pollution Control Board, is how do we reduce non-revenue water, both in the drinking water pipeline and also in our sewerage lines? So I'm interested in learning, if this is something that you have done in the US, were there any benefits in terms of reduction in the non-revenue water? You said 5%, and from what we've heard, we're at least aiming to go 20%, right? So any insights there, anything that you can share?
The third question, there's a clear answer. So yes, we do. We install, in some cases, we are asked to install the monitoring stations on the rivers, so the quality monitoring stations, and that we have an array of vendors, and so we do supply those. We'll probably have to look for a local integrator that will actually do the installation, but we can provide the entire project. As for the first 2 questions, those are too broad for me to answer. Usually, a water loss reduction project is comprised of many elements, from the planning to the hydraulic simulation, from the pressure regime to isolating the problematic areas, from monitoring to using software solutions, acoustic solutions. There are many aspects of this question. So my answer would probably be that the first step should be hiring a consultant that will map the various vehicles that you can use in order to address such an extensive problem. And the numbers that you mentioned are very significant.
Bangalore city itself, at least they are making NRW water table on a daily basis and reporting. There are 2 private operators. One is Larsen and Toubro, other one is Suez France, working in the city, which is divided into 4 zones primarily. And the outer areas are being taken care of by the Bangalore Water Supply Board. What I wanted to tell you is that, this has got evolved over the last 15 years. Bangalore is the benchmark for India. If you say that you don't have figures of Bangalore, I'm surprised. You go into the website of BWSSB, you will get everything. Even I can send you the latest data. In fact, they even mention what is the technical laws, what is the commercial laws, there are more than 900 DMAs in Bangalore city. And each DMA at what is the minimum night flow also, the leakages in the night where the taps are kept open even that is being noted. Of course, there is sometimes a discrepancy in the figures, but these two are giant of companies. One a big multinational Indian company, other is an internationally well-known water operator doing this for very many years. So any city, for your example, and even is nothing great. Everybody has 25-30%. US is known for its inefficiencies in the distribution system. Might be whatever Raj plays a small county might be much more better. But India is really the bad example of the world. All the cities are more than 50 to 60%. When I did the survey in Chennai many years back, 7-8 years back, it was more than 55%, and I was castigated for mentioning this. So people do not like to be told. But of course, now I've drawn these tables, and these are very good reports available. I can share it with you. And you don't have to go to anybody else, and US is nothing great about it. It's only Singapore. And there is a very nice Asian country called Phnom Penh, which has got a standing example of 7% water loss. Similar conditions, 1 crore people like in India, any city, handling it very well. Manila is doing an excellent job. Malaysia, Vietnam, all such. Even Sri Lanka is slightly better than us in many of these things. So don't take US as the benchmark. I'm not happy with it. I lived there for 1 year. I wouldn't say they are the best in the world. Israel is good, but they're all very small cities. No comparison to us. Thank you.